When you put out a fire and just give someone the answers, you're robbing them of the opportunity of them growing. So instead of telling them how to do it, I got really good at saying, oh, okay, well, I'm sorry that that's happening. What would you do in this situation?
Hey, how's it going? It's Tim Brown, and this is the Plumbing and HVAC Hustle Podcast. And today we have Chuck Staszkiewicz.
Yeah, good one.
Close?
You got it.
Of Opus and Golds, and we're talking about how not to scale chaos and a clear path to 10 million, because there's a lot of ways to do it. And no one way is the only way, right? There's hundreds of gurus out there selling these paths to 10 million. A lot of people want to get there, but very few are going to make it. And that's one thing that I want to tell you. Very few. It's not that obvious, but you've done it and you've helped a bunch of other people do it. How did you get into kind of helping companies with this type of stuff? What's your backstory?
Yeah, thanks, Tim. First of all, it's an honor to be here and support. And, I'm here just to serve everybody. Please feel free. Find me on Facebook, reach out to me. I answer a lot of questions. I take a lot of phone calls with guys. I know what it's like to be the one guy in the truck, and that's part of my story, right? 12 years into it, I started my company from my garage. Just bought a $2,000 van off of Craigslist at the time, right? And was tired of working for someone else. Felt that I could have more time and more money if I built my own thing. So that's what I did. I started from my garage, zero capital, $2,000 van, and I grew it to 130 employees, doing about 20 million top line revenue in 12 years, and sold and exited. It's interesting. You talk about not growing the chaos, right? And I could tell the whole story. I've told this story many times, but I think it's mostly like most entrepreneurs in the trades, right? I wasn't going to go to college. I wasn't good at it, so I decided to go into the trades. And then after working for years for somebody and doing side work, all the time, and building that clientele on the side and all that stuff. And then all of a sudden I had my back against the wall. I was about to have a kid. And it was like, okay, I got to make a choice, right? Like, I can either work 100 hours a week for someone else, or I can work 100 hours a week for myself. And I chose myself, and looking back, I think it was a great decision, right? But going into it, I remember that first day. You get your piece of paper, your business license, and you get your license tied to it, and you're ready to start this thing, and you're all excited. It's like remembering that moment of the day you open your doors. And, throughout the 12 years, I had to go back to that moment a lot of times, because when things got hard, Tim, it was like, man, I just want to throw in the towel. But I had to go back to that beginning moment of why I did it in the first place and how exciting it was when I first opened my doors. And a lot of people forget that. Like, if you treated every day you got up, no matter what's going on in your business, like it was the first day and you just opened your doors, how different would your decisions be? Right? And how much more excited would you be about going to work every single day? So, yeah,
I always feel that. I always imagine if I was dropped in my body right now, and I was just playing this character, and today I just got dropped in the body. I'm like, damn, dude, I got it way better than I did before. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Compared to when I started, it's crazy how many advantages, but we just get, I think it's the monotony of building a business. It's boring in some ways. It's super scary and tough and exciting, but it's also, there's a lot of boredom. I don't know. It's crazy. After you've been running a business for a while, it's like the wild things don't hit the same anymore because you've been doing it for, I'm almost 10 years. So it's about to be 9.
Yeah.
It's crazy how many things that happen in one day, though.
Yeah. And it's like, I could sit here and tell my story again, right? But it's my story. People go on these podcasts, they hear these stories. It's great. It's great motivation. It gets, it's hoorah, let's go. But it's my
a brief
story.
Version of the exit and stuff like that, because that's the fun part. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah. Look, here it is, man. For 9 years, I was in a truck. right? Out in doing the work. And I didn't know anything about business. And then all of a sudden, COVID came along. And it was literally like overnight, it humbled the shit out of me. Because I think anybody in business at the time that COVID came along, you had to think differently because nobody knew what was going to happen. Right. So it opened my eyes. And I wrote a post this morning on Facebook and said, always be learning. And that's one of my core values now. Right. Before COVID, I stopped learning. I thought my shit didn't stink. I was doing $12 million a year top line revenue. I thought I had it all. I had it all figured out. Nobody could teach me anything. But that was the eye-opening moment. And it took something so big like COVID that it literally humbled me. And I had to wake up and say, you don't know anything. And literally that's the where the journey started of me becoming a business person, a businessman, right? And that's, to be honest with you, man, I'll never forget it. It's like, holy cow. And by humbling myself so much and saying, getting up every single day after that point and saying, I don't know anything. What am I going to learn today? That's where the magic came in, and it allowed me to say, okay, I've had some great success, but I want more. And in order to get more, I need to learn from the best. So that's what I did. I sought out the best. And it was a very short time being in the rooms with the people that I was in the rooms with. I was like, man, I did not know anything. You know, and now it was that excitement. And you talk about wanting more and that boredom. It was like once I had that opportunity to be around people with greater knowledge than myself and have done the things that I wanted to do, that's when it got really exciting again. Right. And it was like, okay, now I'm not just a plumber. Now I'm a business owner. Now I'm understanding my numbers. I'm understanding KPIs. I'm building a culture. I'm building a brand. I'm understanding marketing better. I'm understanding accounting better. I'm understanding tax preparation better. I'm understanding all these things that were just chaos before that, right? You talk about building to the chaos. That's what it was. And, you know, so year 9, I got out of the truck, started to get really serious. COVID happened. We all know those stories, right? And that's when I really dialed it in, man. And it became fun again. I talk about going back to that first day. It was like the first day all over again. And it was like, okay, well, I need to learn more about this, right? And every day I was taught by one of my mentors every day to get up and take a temperature on my business and what was the biggest thing that needed my focus that day, right? And attack it. Yeah. You know, and it's not always what you think. It's not the scheduling. It's not the people complaining. It's not that, like, so you have to weed through that chaos to really figure out what's the biggest thing my business needs today.
Yeah. Let's kick off this interview portion. I'm curious, what do you think the difference is between the guy that or gal that you talk to that's gonna go to 10 million and the guy or gal that you kind of think will probably never go?
Man, that's such a loaded question.
Just give it to me straight. Give it to me straight.
Yeah. So there's so many things that can take it into place there. Like number one, hustle will outbeat a lot of things, right? So, but you can work yourself into burnout. You know, I've been there myself personally. Yeah. I know a lot of other people that have, you know, and a lot of people aren't built for that, right? Like, so you can literally hustle yourself into the ground. And, you know, your family might not be built for that. Your kids might not be built for that, all that stuff, right? But you have to have a certain amount of that too, okay? So that's number one. Number two, I would probably say is bad advice. Stop listening to advice from people that haven't done anything or are just, you know, free to give you advice. Stop going on these Facebook groups. And yeah, because what worked for them, just like I said, my story is my story. What worked for them is not necessarily going to work for you. And what got them to 10 million isn't necessarily going to get you into 10 million.
Just like, okay, asking questions in Facebook groups is not bad in and of itself. just as long as when you're getting those answers, you're inspecting the source, right? Like, because like there's some people that are active in these, like think of like Alicia and Peter Green, like they're active in some of these Facebook groups. They're smart, super smart. There's other people that are super smart, Stephanie, just a bunch of people that are, right? And I know their business enough to be like, all right, I would listen. It's just as long as you're doing that, always tracing it back. And I think ideally it's them in person.
Yeah.
Because like the internet is so confusing. Like the people that are bawling are sometimes like just really flexing to make up for something. So that's the tough part.
Many homes suffer from inefficient HVAC systems due to leaky ducts, leading to uneven room temps, lost airflow, and higher energy costs. AeroSeal's innovative sealant technology targets and repairs leaks, improving airflow and efficiency. Increase your customer satisfaction, increase sales, and offer a unique market advantage. Become a leader in HVAC efficiency. AeroSeal.com.
Yeah, and then secondly, what I feel is going to set you apart is what you do with the knowledge once you get it. Right? Just because it's someone else's truth doesn't mean it needs to be your truth. You need to decipher through the message, figure out what's true for you, and then implementation. That by far is going to set people apart, whether you're going to hit 10 million or not hit 10 million. Because I can give you all the advice in the world, Tim. I can literally give you the roadmap, write it down for you, give you the blueprint, how to get to $10 million. It's how you take that blueprint and implement it. If you're not good at implementing, find somebody that is, right? If that's not your forte and you're the visionary, then you need to find somebody that can implement all the roadmap, right? And that's where I really see is the big difference, especially right now. It's not about finances. It's not, yes, you have to be good with money and understand accounting and understand your numbers and all those things too. But really it's about like, literally, if I gave you exactly how to do it, here you go. It's what you do with that knowledge. And it's any knowledge that you get, whether you go to an event, whether you read a book, whether you listen to a podcast. It's what you do with that knowledge that will set you apart from your competitors and get you to that $10 million.
What would you say is a fairly common big mistake that people make that stops them from getting there? Maybe stops them from getting there as soon as you thought they should get there. You know what I mean? Like what holds people back there?
They get comfortable. Just like I was when COVID hit, I was very comfortable. I was cruising along, thought my shit didn't stink. I stopped learning. I was not humble at all. I'm like, oh man, I came from nothing. I'm making $12 million a year. Not really, right? Because I didn't understand my numbers, but that's really what it is. And they start to move on to other things before they've really dialed in the first thing. So if you think about that put that into perspective, right? I see a lot of owners that start off with plumbing or HVAC or electrical or whatever, right? And that's their main trade. And then they're like, oh, well, I'm going to add HVAC, or I'm going to add plumbing, or I'm going to add electrical, because they have the demand for it, but they haven't figured out the main trade first. They haven't got their numbers dialed in. They haven't got their culture dialed in. They haven't got their hiring process dialed in, their onboarding process dialed in. They haven't perfected, and I'm not saying perfected. It doesn't have to be 100%, but they haven't dialed that in so smooth that it could run itself, and they just open another trade. Well, everything that they haven't figured out in that main trade is just going to carry over and multiply in that next trade or service that they roll out. So it's
we think we got it all. We think we got it all dialed in. Is the thing, I think. Like people aren't like, oh, I'm not as good at this as I should be. It's like no second trade or third trade is going to be your savior either. Well, I just think it's very attractive, right? Like I was telling you before that we did this podcast, is just like I'm actually used to the beginning scaling chaos. And if I had to like just get really dialed in on just my numbers and the monotony of daily life and leading people and making sure they're like enabled to do great work, that sometimes gets very monotonous. And so I'm off on a new adventure. The only reason I don't do that as much, because I would have like 3 businesses right now. My wife makes me not. That's the only reason I don't. Other than that, like literally, that's probably a massive reason that we've done decent.
But and here's the thing, like higher the risk, higher the reward, of course.
Yeah.
But you talk about chaos. When you launch or build something that's chaotic, you're addicted to that chaos. Me and my wife, since we both just sold our companies in the last 2 years, we started to look and reflect and say, you know what? Why are we building more chaos in our life? We don't need to. And it's like, you're so used to running at that level, you don't know any better. So when that chaos is not there, you're like, whoa, something's wrong. I need to, you invite it in, which is incredible. And people don't realize that, right? Like, yes, running in chaos, like you do get used to it. And, we just had this conversation, me and my wife a week ago. It's like, how did we do this? How do we run 2 businesses, have 3 kids, the dog, the school, the run around, all this stuff? And it was like, our life is so much different right now, but it seems like the kids right now is so much harder. How do we do everything we did before? And it's because we were constantly inviting that chaos in. Now we're at a different level of like, okay, we're strategically planning every move that we do, which is a big difference too.
That has been a big unlock, I think, for a lot of like the crazy, like we've been even just doing like a month or like a day every single month where my wife and I just act as shareholders of our business and go off to a separate, like we go to like a co-working space and sit up with a whiteboard and like more like, what do we want to do with our lives? And hey, if we ever sold this is what it looked like. Wait, what's the valuation of the company? Like, are there bigger strategic moves that involve the company? Like, let's consider buying a building or like those types of things. Whereas like, hey, we've made decisions not to buy a building. Hey, we've made decisions to like, think about what we really want to do with our time and our life. And that's a luxury as you get bigger, right? To be able to have that. But like, if you can take a day a month and actually act like a shareholder, not just a frantic CEO like we sometimes get into. That's a pretty crazy unlock. It's
the 10,000 foot view, right? When you remove yourself from the day to day and you take a look at it from a 10,000 foot view, you unlock so many different things. Bill Gates used to take thinkcations where he would go to a different environment and that's what he would do. For me, it was snowmobiling or even going out and cleaning the warehouse. Yeah. Like it was removing myself from my office and just going to do a monotonous task. That's where the ideas would start to flow again. And then I would start to uncover things too, right? In the business. The other part too is I rarely sat at my desk. I was constantly going around and talking to people. And I would ask a lot of questions. Hey, tell me why you did that. Right? Because I wanted to understand what their thought process was and why did they, go over here to do that. And it took them 15 minutes. And so I want to understand why it took you 15 minutes to do that. And if there was a better way. So it's constantly looking at efficiencies and improvements there, but you can't do that from behind your desk. You got to get inside the business, ride alongs. If you're out in the field, it's a perfect time to do that, right? Because you can see a lot of different things. A lot of people, when they get to a certain point, they just sit behind their desks and put out fires. Well, instead of putting out the fires, why don't you not let the fire start in the first place? And in order to do that, you have to go and look at the business constantly and like, okay, what is the risk that I could avoid if I implement this or look at this strategically versus just being a fire extinguisher or a firefighter per se,
Yeah. It really takes, I hate time blocking, but it really takes some level of like concerted effort around your personal time Like, because if you don't do something like that, and I literally, like, I consider myself, like, I come from, like, I'm a designer, artist background, you know, like, I have a creative background. So, but I like, at least, you know, I like, you know, Dan Sullivan.
Mm-hmm.
He talks about front of stage, back of stage days.
Mm-hmm.
And essentially one is like the strategic planning and like people ops type meetings. And then the other one like is like front of house work, sales and marketing and getting the word out. And it's like even just splitting your days a little bit like that. And for those of you who are like me, where you don't like time blocking. I do it, but I hate it. That has been, I feel like that mindset is helpful. Just like knowing that you got to do behind the scenes work, but it's good to batch bigger, like strategic stuff. And like the good news is, or the bad news is when you say yes to a fire, like you're going to fix this for somebody, which we all have to do every once in a while, just knowing you're saying no to something else.
Yeah. And I believe Dan talks about this too. If
Yep.
he doesn't, I'm sure he has at some point. If you really want to get good at time management, do what's called a time study. Take 15-minute blocks of your day and think about what you just did. You will literally create more time in your life by doing that because you will see how much time is actually wasted. So take your whole entire day, 15-minute blocks, you journal exactly what you did in those 15-minute blocks, and then you reflect back on it. You will see how much time you actually waste and where you should be putting your focus on. The other part too is when you put out a fire, Tim, this is something that I was very bad at, and I had to learn this. When you put out a fire and just give someone the answers, you're robbing them of the opportunity of them growing. Okay. So instead of telling them how to do it, I got really good at saying, even though I knew the answer, I could tell them and they could go get it done. And just like that, I said, oh, okay, well, I'm sorry that that's happening. What would you do in this situation?
Yeah.
And I'd hear them out. And if it was what I wanted done, I'd say, go do that. If it wasn't, I'd say, okay, well, that's very interesting. I liked it. Sometimes it would be better than the way I wanted it done.
Yeah.
Sometimes it was way off, and I had to use that opportunity to coach them and level them up. Right. So that's where firefighting, even though it seems like you're doing a lot and you're fixing things, you're actually really hurting your business.
Yeah. This is so good. This is a really good tip. I want to slow down for people so they fully appreciate this. Thinking about, I like the 1-3-1 method.
Yep.
Like, hey, it's clearly define the problem with one sentence, give me 3 possible solutions, and then choose the one you think you should do. Like it like gets other people. It's like a trick to get them to just come to the conclusion on their own selves. The beauty is that people have more context on the problem than you do. That's the crazy part about them coming to you in the first place, especially when you're starting to like get bigger and like you don't have the context on that job or that thing. And they're trying to get you to fix it for them so that they don't have to like face any consequences if they're wrong.
Yeah.
And we all have to face the consequences anyways. So let's let the person who has the most context on the situation make some decisions. We did it to ourselves as leaders. When that happens, we did it to ourselves because we've been zooming in on their thing and fixing it for them for so long. That's why people don't go to 10. We figured it out. That's why they don't go to 10, because they get high enough that it sucks so bad. And then they scale down because they fucking hate it. They hate it because they were not willing to let go of anything. If you are not willing to let go of anything, you will never go to 10 million, or you're going to hate it when you get there because it's just too fucking hard. Unless you're some kind of genius. I'm sure there's exceptions.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree. And look, it's not, managing employees is not the easiest thing in the world, but it can be the easiest thing in the world if you let them have the room to do it themselves. People are smart. People will always find a better way. And when you stop saying, I have all the answers, and start listening and asking better questions, that's when the real magic begins. Because I forget who it was. It was either Bezos or Google. They would hire people that were lazy, right? They would look for this in the interviewing process because they had a theory that lazy people will always find a better way to do things. And I'm like, that's really an interesting theory, but
Who did
it's
this?
true. What's that?
Who said this?
It was either Google or Bezos,
Yeah.
but it literally, look, if you design your processes so easy that a 4-year-old can understand it, you could hire just about anybody. Now you're looking for personalities. But when you're constantly putting out the fires and everything, right? Going back to that is like, you're not giving your people the opportunity to grow, and they're never going to level up because they just know, hey, let me go to Tim, I'll get the answer. You're not allowing them to think for themselves, right? And then another real easy secret, stop answering your phone. Like, there's a reason that iPhones came out with Do Not Disturb. Put that thing on, because here's the thing. I forwarded my phone to my office. People could not call me. I did this 8 years ago. They had to text me to get me to call them. What that did was allowed them the opportunity to think for themselves just for a minute. By the time I called them back, I'd be like, hey, what's going on? Oh, never mind. I figured it out.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, shit, I'm on to something here.
Yeah.
Now you have it literally a button you hit and they can't call you. So make it mandatory in your company. No phone calls unless the building's on fire, you got into an accident, someone got hurt, right? Like those ones that are true level 5s. But everything else, text me first, and you can solve a lot of that versus getting on the phone with somebody. How much time is wasted when you get on the phone? Oh, hey, how you doing? You start bullshitting about this. You start going off topic and talking about 10 things that you don't need to talk about. You're not solving the problem. So it's a big time waster, in my opinion.
Still a lot of money chasing these transactions. You know, there's still really good outcomes out there for sellers. It's good to have someone like us in your corner because we're not emotional, but guess what? When you're selling your business, it becomes emotional, and so it's really good to have an intermediary, you know, there every step of the way. www.sfpadvisors.com. All the contact information is directly on the website.
So getting to that 10 million mark, I know that you and I are doing an event about this soon. So it's October, what is it? 2nd?
3rd and 4th.
3rd and 4th in Mentor,
3rd and 4th.
Ohio.
Yep,
Be
just
really
outside
good.
of Cleveland.
You got super cool people there. You and your sister are doing stuff. Jason Walker's going to be there. I'm going to be there. I'm bringing the heat, by the way, folks. I'm bringing the heat. But I'm curious, like, how'd you assemble this cast and this theme of going to 10 million? Like, what are the problems you're trying to help people? So, like, what are the main problems that people, I know we've already kind of talked about a few, but any other main problems that people are trying to solve on the way to 10 million that they get stuck in there? I feel like there's like, what do you call those little bumps when you're skiing down a ski hill? Those
Moguls.
What is it?
Moguls.
There's moguls. There's a mogul-y path like in the 5 to 7 range where some people just get like stumped.
Yeah.
Like what is the stump? What is stumping, and what are you trying to help solve with like the people you've assembled at this event?
Yeah, you know, so a lot of it I really feel comes down to distractions and not waking up and asking that one most important question of the day is, what is the main thing that I need to focus on that's going to move the business forward today, right? Not understanding how to get an ROI on everything you do. And it doesn't just mean money, return on your time, return on your investment, return on, you know, your quality of life, right? So the reason I did this, to be honest with you, Tim, is that in order for you to become a $10 million company, you have to level up yourself. It all starts with the leadership. I was, when I first started my company, day one, or even year 1, year 2, year 3, I was not the leader of a $10 million a year company. So I formed this training event per se around that. This is a non-selling event. Like, we're not here to sell you guys anything. We're here to help you level up as a leader. And the people that I brought onto this panel have all built successful companies from the ground up. Some have failed at some, right? Some have had multiple different ones that failed and then multiple different ones that succeeded. I do believe there's value in history, right? History, like success leaves clues. That's was my goal behind this event. And everybody that I chose to come here, you're going to see, if you come to the event, similarities in a lot of the stories, right? And how we navigated through those moguls.
Yeah.
The thing is this too. I want to go back to, you asked some of the things that I see people are doing that are holding them back. Leadership is a big part of it. You can't, from when you started your company, if you're not leveling up your leadership, you'll never get to 10 million. You'll never do it. Okay. The other part is stop comparing. The comparison effect is real. I mean, you see it all over Facebook, social media, all that stuff, right? What I said earlier, my story is my story. It's not your story. Create your own story, but learn from the lessons of people that have done it before. And that's really, like, don't compare. Don't say, oh, well, I've been doing this for 30 years and I haven't had the success that Chuck has had. Okay, well, start today and tomorrow you'll have that success, but you'll have your story and your success. Stop with the comparison. It doesn't matter what I did, what Tim did, what any of our people that are going to be at the event, what they did. It's like, okay, how can I take what they've done, incorporate it into what I've done, and make it even better?
Agreed. I realized, actually, I was working on my slides for this talk.
Yeah.
On Sunday night. I'm up with a newborn. 3 weeks in.
Congratulations again, my friend.
Yeah, I've got that. Yeah, thank you so much. I got till 1 a.m. and then I try to take a nap, and then I usually go to like 3 or 4 then I tap my wife in, and I realized I had no call to action at the end whatsoever. Which I've been practicing this keynote that I'm working on for like the last few months. And I think at the end of the day, if for random people that might talk at something, I think if you provide so much value, then if people want to work with you, they'll find you for what you do. You know what I mean? I don't think you have to pitch really if you're I believe that people will find you. And then it's also like, what's cool about these types of, sorry, maybe this isn't helpful to contractors.
No, you're awesome.
Is like, people will find you if appropriate, like for your thing, if appropriate. And like, also the other people in the room, like you guys could, and you do, appreciate you referring us. They want to refer when you provide value. Value, like versus, and there's nothing wrong with a slide at the end of something that says how to contact you and those types of things. But I think I think people over optimize for that a little bit. Sometimes with talks, I'm just trying to get these ideas into other people's heads and maybe inspire them a little bit, which is like mine's on essentially the importance of content creation and how to get onto systems for doing it all the time versus some people are like, they're still trying to decide and then they barely put it out every once in a while. And like, that's not where the magic is. The magic is out like every day, consistent.
Yeah. And look, I had plenty of people reach out. Can I be a vendor at the event? This and that. And I said, no, that's not what I want to do here. You know, there's a time and a place for that. Like if I want to have a selling event, that's what I'll do. Yeah. But I just didn't want that here. So, but you brought up something really interesting, Tim, and I want to share this before we go too far with anything else. You talked about being up with your newborn. This is hugely important if you want to scale your company to whatever number. I'm sure you and your wife, leading up to baby, you guys had to have lots of conversations of what it looked like. What's your schedule, her schedule? What are you going to help with? What she's going to help with? What are we going to do in the business? What are you going to do in the business? What does that look like? There's too many people that don't plan. Look, your life and your business is one. You have to plan with your partner your girlfriend, boyfriend, whoever else, your family, if you don't have, you're not married and just have kids, you have to plan with them, because every move you do is taking away time from them too, right?
Mm-hmm.
So why would you go into why would you go into it without a plan?
Mm-hmm.
Like me and my wife, when I was 4 years in when we had our second child. Everything changed from that moment. You're going through it right now, right? Like everything changed. Like I couldn't run the hours and run the business the way I was before he came, right? So we strategically had to plan. What does it look like for help? Is there a nanny involved? This and that. Too many people just try to wing it, and that's where the chaos forms.
Yeah.
If you don't strategically plan what it looks like, and look, the plan doesn't have to be perfect, and it doesn't have to, go 100% according to the plan. But you better have some conversations around it before you just go into chaos and you're putting out more fires.
Yeah, and tending to your personal side of life and your body and our health. All
100%.
These things directly relate. Like, because if you have good energy because you worked out and that you had a good conversation with your wife earlier that day, you're going to be a more effective leader. Yeah. And so I almost was uncomfortable with that fact for a long time. And I do think next year or something like that, I think we're going to hit the 10 mark. So I'm going along with you guys. I'm in this theme, and I'm certain that I will find some other speed bumps along the way. But a big piece for me is tending to that stuff, making sure that you're not neglecting it entirely, because that will all bleed in, and there's no real boundary. Your life bleeds into your life.
Dude, I can tell you firsthand everybody asked me, oh, what did you buy? What trip did you go on? What did you do with all the money you got? All these things, right? And you know what I say? Absolutely nothing. I focused on my health because I've neglected it for the past 25 years. Yeah. And you know what, Tim? I'm down since I sold the company. I'm down 40 pounds. Let's go. My A1C's lower. I just gave up sugar. I'm out on day 96. I had a little bit of sugar on my anniversary the other day. I'm not gonna lie, but 96 days without sugar. I don't drink anymore. I focus solely on my health because truly, your health and your time is all you really have. All the money in the world doesn't mean anything.
Exactly. What I was saying on Facebook the other day, I'm like, what else do you want? If you got that big sale and generational wealth, or at least, a lot of money, what else do you want there with you? Because imagine it happens. What else do you want? There's got to be some other stuff. I got to wrap it up. I got another conversation here in a second. Chuck, give us one more call to action for this event. Why should people go, and where can they grab tickets?
Yeah. Obviously you have a link for tickets. Book through Tim's link. You can follow me on Facebook. It's all over on my Facebook. It's Chuck Staszkiewicz. You won't be able to spell it. You can find the Opus Golds group on Facebook. You can email us. It's really simple. chuck@opusgolds.com. Very, very, very simple. I respond to everything. Direct message me on Facebook. I will definitely get back. Whether you're going to the event or not, if you want to just ask me some questions, hit me up.
And it's a small event. It's an intimate event. And I think what's good about that is you're going to be hanging out with us. You're going to be hanging out with me. Networking. You're going to be hanging out with Chuck. You're going to be hanging out with Jason. You're going to be hanging out with all these people. And that's where, man, it's nice to be able to get your own questions asked. Those types of events are almost more impactful than these big ones sometimes, just because there's more ability to ask the questions you need right now.
Yeah, 100%.
Thank you for being on the podcast. Podcast is put on by hookagency.com. Where can people, I guess you just gave, can you give your .com one more time for people?
Yeah, it's opusgolds.com, or my email is chuck@opusgolds.com.
Awesome. Thank you everyone for watching and listening, and see you later.